We've been fighting a long time, and we have all lost so very much, so many loved ones gone. But you are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know what time it is. It's time for your weekly SITREP resistance. What's going on, Ian?
Not much, dude.
Oh, man.
We're lucky we're online right now.
Yeah. We got all kinds of craziness going on. You're still having issues with your internet service, and we finally got that kind of rerouted, though, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it works.
Cool.
If it doesn't work, then my background will change. You'll see the glow of the McDonald's sign behind me.
So I'll be hanging out at the McDonald's.
I'll be hanging out using their Wi-Fi.
Oh, man. Well, it's good to be. Let's see. We got it is episode 45, Sanctified Rebellion, right?
Yep.
It's December 9th. So it's the day before Hanukkah kicks off, right?
Yep. So the episode Sanctified Rebellion, we want to talk about the Maccabees. We want to follow in the footsteps of the Maccabees. We're in kind of a Maccabean situation ourselves.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that either in the Christian charismatic, they don't have a concept or understanding of what Hanukkah represents, because they're still celebrating the whole Christmas thing. And then you've got a lot of people in the kind of TO community that are like, oh, Hanukkah's pagan. It's pagan, which, I think there's been a little bit of pagan overtaking in pretty much everything, but there are still stories and stuff. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The story of the Maccabean revolt is a pretty awesome story. And, the celebration of it. We even see that Yeshua, Jesus, was partaking in the festival in the biblical text. So just the kind of remembrance of the Maccabees. The Jewish people would celebrate anything that had to do with God in the temple. So, but we're going to talk about a little bit about that tonight. I see we got some people in the chat already. What's going on, guys? It's good to see you.
Yeah. What's up, everybody?
Got some happy Hanukkahs in there. Hanukkah is the Jewish Christmas, right? Well, it's kind of funny because with my situation, my son, his parents, or his mom, his mom still full on celebrates Christmas and all that kind of stuff. There's not much I can do about that, but we've kind of integrated like the gift giving and stuff, because I don't want to have him feel left out when he's here at the house. So and when I don't get him for the whole time, so I can't do the gift every day or whatever. So we kind of just hide presents around the house and like, go find them, So I've always been kind of the person that once I buy a present for somebody, I don't want to like wrap it up and then wait for days and days to give it to them, or weeks or months. I always spoil it myself, because I'm more of a gift giver than a gift receiver. So I love to give gifts. So, it just gives me a reason. But I think it's an interesting thing. We kind of do the lights and light the lights. We don't use the 7 or the 9 menorah. We use the 7 menorah, but I know you're kind of you're not there yet with that. You still guys, you got to do all the other fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've never really looked into Hanukkah too much. Like, I'm not to the point of transfer yet. My wife's not fully on board with giving up Christmas. So I haven't really had a say. And if you bring that up with anybody else, they say, just take your Christmas tree and burn it, throw it outside when she's gone. And in case you guys don't know, I made a marriage film. So that would to help marriages. I know that would be a bad idea. Yeah, Harry Christmas, dude. I'm gonna have to throw that picture up here. I'm gonna have to find it. So, anyways, I want to know in the comments. Actually, I'll wait. I'm gonna start a clothing line. Let's just say that, and I got to find this picture real quick on my phone. Talk away, Aaron.
Oh, I was gonna say you're gonna start a clothing line. Well, I had a suggestion from a listener. That said that we should take the holy hand grenade, the holy, the water balloon, the holy water balloon hand grenade kind of thing. And we should pair that up with what Nathan Reynolds is doing with his slingshot. And then we can have the Nathan Reynolds slingshot with, the holy hand grenade water balloons. So
I got
we'll
you.
have to with sanctified water.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I was going to keep talking about the Christmas thing. I was thinking about that. So I didn't really have that big of an issue with the getting rid of Christmas, and my wife didn't either, surprisingly, because my family, we started walking away from Christmas back when I was like 10, 12 years old, something like that. They had read and were studying, the feast days and stuff way back when, 20 some years ago. And they had, read a book called Too Long Under the Sun. And it had kind of covered a lot of that. So we kind of walked away from that a long time ago. But, for a lot of people, it's a huge deal. I mean, a lot of they may have had awful memories from their family and stuff like that, but Christmas has always been like, a joyous thing, which is weird though, because if you look at the statistics, it has the highest amount of, like domestic abuse and stuff like that. But as a kid, you don't see all of that. So you have these ingrained memories as a child of like all of the fun times and the memories of your family members who may have been passed away and stuff. But I was thinking about this with a lot of the pagan or the whatever you want to call them, the standard Christian or standard holidays, I guess I could say. If you think about it, like look at Halloween and Easter and Christmas. You guys are familiar with Pavlov's dog?
Yeah.
The story of Pavlov's dog. He trained his dog to salivate every time he rung a bell. The dog learned to associate the ringing of the bell with the food. And so every time he would ring the bell, even if the dog wasn't being fed, the dog would salivate. And it just makes me think of these pagan holidays of how we're kind of like Pavlov's dog when it comes to it. Look at Halloween. What do they give? They give candy. Right, which every child loves. Look at Easter, they give candy, and then Christmas gives you presents and candy and all kinds of stuff. So we wonder why it's so hard for people to separate themselves from these, is because it's literally we've been conditioned from a very young age to like associate things like chocolate and stuff like that, which are natural producers of chemicals in your brain that make you happy. And so you've got, you have this whole kind of like psychological training that we have even as a young child about these holidays. And the Hebrew, the Jewish traditions for a lot of things like the honey and stuff like that, and even the coins for the I can't even the dreidel and stuff like that are chocolate coins. They even kind of have introduced that kind of stuff into those concepts as well, because they even understood that, to get a child to want to keep coming back to something. The one thing I do really love about the Jewish holidays though, is they're there to teach the child a lesson. So instead of it just like, Easter, here, get some candy and hang out with family, or Christmas, get some presents. There's some really cool stories that go along with the Jewish history and the history of, Christendom and stuff. So that's why I really enjoy them. And I think that children should be a part of those, because it's a learning process. Instead of just giving gifts, there's actually more to that. It's actually learning the history of our God and his people.
Yeah.
So did you find what you were looking for?
Oh yeah, I'm talking to Karen in here. I said something. I don't even remember what I even said when I even said it. I say it last week, or when did I say it, Karen? I mentioned that 2020 was the year of the mouth. It's actually double mouth. 5780. So I put it in there. 5780, the year to widen your mouth or wisdom, or shut it. Widen your mouth in wisdom, or zip it shut. That's what the Hebrew year 5780. Now we're in 5781. But when I made that comment, that's what it was about. But a lot of the prophets are saying that this is the year of the mouth, and it's coincident that the bad guys are making us mask up and shut that mouth. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that is very interesting. And I was thinking about this because I know we've had a lot of conversations. I was just talking about this with my wife earlier. We've had, because I walked into a gas station today and literally had this meek, frail, like probably mid-70s, like little black lady who was behind the counter at a gas station tell me I had to wear a mask. This first time I've had somebody at a gas station tell me to wear a mask. Yeah. And I was just thinking about it, because we talk about, all of this stuff that the elites do. And I think from the truther community, we kind of like think, oh, well, they're so dumb, they mess up and stuff. Like we only catch probably a tenth of what they're actually doing, because we see their mishaps and their mistakes. But one of the things I did really notice, like about all this stuff with the vaccine and the way that this is happening, is what they do play around in the occult and in the, in this kind of like the Illuminati, in parentheses kind of group, they mess psychologically with people. And most people pre-2020, they avoided conflict. I mean, that's most people. The only people that didn't, we had a name for them. We called them Karens, right? And that became like a real popular. Yeah, no offense, Karen. But you know what I'm saying? That was a very, like over the last 4 or 5 years before 2020, Karen became like a running meme. Anybody that wanted to complain or was confrontational was a Karen or a Chad. And now the way that everything has happened, these businesses are forcing their employees to be confrontational or risk being in trouble. So it's literally a psychological operation. That's that whole PSYOP. It's a psychological operation to mess with people. Most people don't want to be confrontational. Most people don't want to put but this is the beginning. That we've talked about this being a precursor for what's got to come for the end. And they have to take an entire generation and they have to change their mentality. And this is literally turned like people against other people, and their mentalities of like somebody that would normally not say something to a guy that looks like a biker Viking, right, are going to tell him, oh, you have to wear a mask. You know what I mean? I just think it's really interesting that we're seeing this psychological kind of aspect of things that people, their whole mentalities are changing.
Well, you remember when you were in school, like if you were to tattle on like you say you're in school and you're like, teacher, so-and-so is doing this. And they'd say, don't be a baby. Don't look at them. Don't be a baby, or whatever. Now you have kids in school and they tattle on people. They're like, the teachers are like, that's it. And they do something about it because no one's allowed to be offended anymore. Right. We can't have it both ways. So now, free speech is under attack because it may hurt someone's feelings. Like we saw in the Social Dilemma episode, we're talking about that. That's what they said the dangers are now with social media, is that there's fake news and people are hurting feelings and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, don't look at it. You know what I mean? It's not a new problem. It's always been a problem. How they're choosing to deal with it is different now, and it sucks. Anyways, let's go back. So Chris Bailey, or otherwise known as Core Health Products today, or maybe it's Liz. I don't know. I'm going to guess it's Chris. He said Harry Christmas to me. So I think it was last year or the year before, I made my own Christmas sweater. Okay. And you're going to like this. And I'm coming out with the clothing line. All right. I'm going to show you the picture here. Oh, where'd it go? All right. There it is. You're muted, Aaron. So I cut the tree out of my sweatshirt and let the hair of my chest hang out of it. And I didn't really plan it out because you can see I put like this glittery glue stuff on the edge because it didn't hold shape very well. And I mean, I'm going to have to figure that out. But I think I figured it out. Putting some backing or something there before I cut it out, that would definitely help. But I was thinking you could do Harry holiday clothing. And every holiday you can cut a shape out of your shirt and say Harry Holidays. And you better buy it because I have 5 kids. I'm poor. And this is funny. Right?
Oh man. Yeah, that's interesting, Ian.
I'm just a creative person over here, doing my thing.
I enjoy it. Oh man.
My first thought when I was doing that was I should shave my chest and set for a tree, but that's a little more difficult. So this was the easy route. Just cut it out of my shirt, When you should have seen my wife's face when I came down because all my family was there. When I came down, like, yeah. They're like, oh my God.
You get the double-sided ones for the people with the hairy backs, like Marla said. Just a bigger tree on the back.
It costs more to do front and back. So be prepared. There will be big and tall sizes, Aaron. So don't worry about that.
Oh man.
It'd be real fun to do hats like that too. Harry
you should make it like a lot bigger and then have like, the garland from the trees and like little decorations hanging off of it.
Yeah, we can get real creative with the stuff like that, but I didn't have a whole lot of supplies to craft my own shirt in my room. I legit went into like the homeschool room, like, what can I use to make this? And they had like that puffy glue.
Yeah.
And some scissors. And I'm like, that's going to have to work.
Aspen in the live chat said you won't be selling any of those to women. you'll sell a whole one shirt.
We'll make Harry Holiday socks for the women, man. You guys can just let that crap grow because we know you do it. Don't play these games. I've been married twice. I know you do it. In the wintertime, you think you can wear pants so you don't have to, you get all relaxed. You're cutting holes in the sheets.
You're giving us all kinds of
fines.
So use fusible interfaces before you cut it out. Man, everybody they giving us all kinds of advice on here.
I'm in the right crowd right here, man. These are homeschool moms. Yeah. With Etsy shops. They're hooking me up.
Put fake hair for the background, then hang your ornaments on the hair.
We could do fake hair for chicks. That'd be cool. And we could do real hair, like some, yak hair or something crazy.
I'm just gonna hang decorations from my beard.
Or you could cut out the underarms. Marla says. That's true. We could do that. That'd be really good. You guys are helping me. You're helping me out here. The only bad thing is if I have a Harry Holidays clothing line website before we have a SITREP resistance website. I mean, you guys can smack me. So I don't even know how to get back to our show after that.
Well, we were talking about Hanukkah.
Oh, yeah. The menorah will look real sweet cut out.
If you could get it to stay in shape.
Well, they're just telling me here I could put some iron-on backing behind it, the fusible web for the backing or an iron-on stiffener. Heck yeah. We got a couple weeks to show you. I'll show you another picture this year. I'll try to come up with something creative. It won't be a tree. It'll be something else. Maybe a holy hand grenade ornament. That'd be another thing we can do.
Can we do a holy hand grenade menorah?
Well, I don't know how you would do that.
Just a grenade at the bottom?
Well, I mean, you could put a grenade on it, yeah. I'm just thinking like a grenade kind of looks like an ornament, so. Or maybe there's another holiday. Was there anything we could do for Kwanzaa?
Does anybody even celebrate that anymore? That was like a big thing like in the early 2000s, and then you never hear anything about it anymore.
Yeah, I saw it on Sesame Street. I never heard of it before. But I've been watching Sesame Street for 17 years. So it was on one of those years. Yeah, we could do hairy masks. That's a good idea. I keep forgetting that that's like a thing now. Oh my gosh. Festivus.
Oh yeah, there's we got Ark. Hey, what's going on? We got Andy in the live chat and was on a couple weeks ago. If you guys didn't get to hear or listen to the show, he said Hanukkah actually holds some really great principles that can be applied and celebrated today, but I don't look at it as just a substitute for Christmas. So it's much more. Yes, I absolutely agree. I think it's like most of the biblical holidays, they're to be used as teaching tools, and that's how you get your kids involved. So my son's old enough now, we're gonna read through and talk about the Maccabees and stuff like that for this Hanukkah, and get him involved because before, I mean, he just turned 9, so he didn't, his attention span towards things like that was pretty short. So now we're going to get him into and read and watch there's some cool cartoon videos like that you can get kids interested in, like the Maccabees and stuff like that. I found a couple of those. But
you guys some people are saying that the Facebook video link is not running live, but I'm over here right now. It's running live. So maybe refresh. I don't know.
I'll jump over.
Rob Blackwell over here saying what's up on Facebook. It didn't pop through his name over here on our end. It said Facebook user.
Yeah, it usually takes a few minutes for it to transfer over. Facebook's a little bit slower.
Well, you have to agree to the Facebook terms to where they can share your name on our. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user. So if you're seeing Facebook user in the comments over here or in the chat, you're going to want to change that. But thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being in the chat.
Yeah, and if you guys want to jump over to the actual YouTube chat, you can jump over to the Holy Hand Grenade YouTube channel or Ian Chadrick's YouTube channel and jump in live. Or you can always catch up with us on the podcast, or you can find it anywhere that the podcasts are streamed, like iHeartRadio or what's the other one?
Spotify and
Supercast
and all kinds of stuff. You can find it just about anywhere. So
and those usually go up. What do we do that like 2 days after?
I try to do it real as soon as I can, but this week's I actually just posted last week's today. I was having internet problems. Every single time I tried to upload this sucker, it would time out because my service is really crappy right now. It's intermittent. So that's been a burden or been a struggle all week for me. But thank you, Jesus. It worked for tonight.
Yeah.
I was upset, man. I was more mad about this not going down than COVID. That's saying something. Oh.
So did you want to, because we're going to talk about the Maccabees in this first hour. So did you want to kind of read through that? So for anybody that doesn't know about the story of the Maccabean revolt and what the foundations for Hanukkah, the original foundations, there are some stuff where people say, that some things happened in there, that was a miracle that people don't agree with. I don't know. There's a lot there, but I enjoy the Maccabean story. It reminds me of like 300, another 300-ish type battle that happened. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'll read the first chapter of Maccabees real quick and we can discuss, and then Aaron will read chapter 2. I think that's all we'll read today. Just like it's the main stuff going out of the way there. So chapter 1. After Alexander the Macedonian, Philip's son, who came from the land of Kittim, had defeated Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes, he became king in his place, having first ruled in Greece. He fought many battles, captured fortresses, and put the kings of the earth to death. He advanced to the ends of the earth, gathering plunder from many nations. The earth fell silent before him, and his heart became proud and arrogant. He collected a very strong army and won dominion over provinces, nations, and rulers, and they paid him tribute. He also won using Dominion voting software. They left that out of this version, but anyways. But after all this, he took to his bed, realizing that he was going to die. So he summoned his noble officers who had been brought up with him from his youth and divided his kingdom amongst them while he was still alive. Alexander had reigned 12 years, then he died. So his officers took his kingdom, each in his own territory. And after his death, they all put on diadems, and so did their sons after them for many years. multiplying evils on the earth. There sprang from these a sinful offshoot, Antiochus Epiphanes, son of King Antiochus, once a hostage at Rome. He became king in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days, there appeared in Israel transgressors of the law who seduced many, saying, "Let us go and make a covenant with the Gentiles all around us. Since we separated from them, many evils have come up upon us." The proposal,
those
yeah.
Gentiles that are around them are the separated tribes too, to remember that. That's what the Gentile means.
The proposal was agreeable. Some from among the people promptly went to the king and authorized them to introduce the ordinances of the Gentiles. Thereupon they built a gymnasium in Jerusalem according to the Gentile custom. I'm guessing that's like a Colosseum or something.
The gymnasium was it's like a Greek, one of those pillared.
Okay.
Yeah.
They disguised their circumcision and abandoned the holy covenant. They allied themselves with the Gentiles and sold themselves to wrongdoing. When his kingdom seemed secure, Antiochus overtook and become king of the land of Egypt and to rule both kingdoms. He invaded Egypt with a strong force, with chariots, elephants, and cavalry, and with a large fleet, to make war on Ptolemy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's pretty. I sounded it out and it was still rough. Ptolemy, the king of Egypt. Ptolemy was frightened at his presence and fled, and many were wounded and fell dead. The fortified cities in the land of Egypt were captured, and Antiochus plundered the land of Egypt. After Antiochus had defeated Egypt in 143rd year, he returned and went up against Israel and against Jerusalem with a strong force. He insolently entered the sanctuary and took away the golden altar, the lampstand for the light with all of its utensils, the offering table, the cups and the bowls, the golden censers, and then the curtain, the cornice, and the golden ornament on the facade of the table. He stripped it all off, and he took away the silver and gold and the precious vessels. He also took all the hidden treasures he could find. Taking all this, he went back to his own country. He shed much blood and spoke with great arrogance. And there was a great mourning throughout Israel. And all the rulers and the elders groaned. Young women and men languished, and the beauty of the women faded. Oh, that's rough. Not only did they get robbed, but their women turned ugly. Just kidding. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, while the bride sitting in her chamber mourned. And the land quaked on account of its inhabitants, and all the house of Jacob was clothed with shame. 2 years later, the king sent the Mysian commander to the cities of Judah, and he came to Jerusalem with a strong force. He spoke to them deceitfully in peaceful terms, and they believed him. Then he attacked the city suddenly, and in a great onslaught, he destroyed many of the people of Israel. He plundered the city and set fire to it, demolished its houses and the surrounding walls, and they took captive the women and children and seized the animals. Then they built up the city of David with high, strong walls and towers, and it became their citadel. Then they installed a sinful race, transgressors of the law, who fortified themselves inside it. They stored up weapons and provisions, depositing there the plunder that they had collected from Jerusalem, and they became a great snare. The citadel became an ambush against the sanctuary and a wicked adversary to Israel at all times. They shed innocent blood around the sanctuary. They defiled the sanctuary. Because of them, the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled away. She became the abode of strangers. She became a stranger to her own offspring, and her children forsook her. Her sanctuary became desolate as a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning. Her Sabbaths were turned to shame. Her honor to contempt. And as her glory had been, so great was her dishonor. Her exaltation was turned into mourning. Then the king wrote to this whole kingdom that all should be one people, and abandon their particular customs. All the Gentiles conformed to the command of the king, and many Israelites delighted in this religion. They sacrificed to idols and profaned the Sabbath. The king sent letters by messenger to Jerusalem and to the cities of Judah, ordering them to follow the customs foreign to their land, to prohibit burnt offerings and sacrifices, libations in the sanctuary, and to profane the Sabbaths and feast days, to desecrate the sanctuary and the sacred ministers, to build pagan altars and temples and shrines, and sacrifice swine and unclean animals, to leave their sons uncircumcised, and to defile themselves with every kind of impurity and abomination, so that they might forget the law and change all of its ordinances. Whoever refuses to act according to the command of the king was to be put to death. In words such as these, he wrote to the whole kingdom. He appointed inspectors over all the people, and he ordered the cities of Judah to offer sacrifices, each city in turn. Many of the people who abandoned the law joined them and committed evil in the land. They drove Israel into hiding wherever places of refuge could be found. On the 15th day of the month of Kislev, in the year 145, the king erected a the desolating abomination upon the altar of burnt offerings, and in the surrounding cities of Judea, they built pagan altars. Wait a minute here. Let me read that again. On the 15th day of the month of Kislev, in the year 145, the king erected the desolating abomination upon the altar of burnt offerings.
Yeah. You wonder what that is?
No, I'm saying that there's the abomination that makes desolate. That's the same thing.
Right. It desecrated the temple.
So
yeah. He killed a pig on the temple and then smeared the blood all over the Holy of Holies. So that was the desecration of the temple.
Interesting. They also burned incense at the doors of the houses and in the streets. Any scrolls of the law they found, they tore up and burned. Whoever was found with the scroll of the covenant, or whoever observed the law, was condemned to death by royal decree. So they used their power against Israel, against those who were caught each month and in the cities. On the 25th day of each month, they sacrificed on the pagan altar that was over the altar of burnt offerings. In keeping with the decree, they put to death women who had their children circumcised, and they hung their babies from their necks. Their families also, and those who had been circumcised, were killed. Many in Israel were determined and resolved to their hearts not to eat anything unclean. They preferred to die rather than to be defiled with food or profaned the holy covenant, and they did die. And very great wrath came upon Israel. That sounds a whole lot like what we're anticipating in the tribulation, in Revelation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. When you go through and look at this, though, if you want to go back through and listen to that time period of Israelites were dealing with, like that was the tribe of Jacob, or was it Judah? It was Judah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, it was Judah. So, I mean, some of the stuff they said, they were forcing them to, worship pagan gods or not follow the laws of God. If they ate, they were forced. I mean, like that was literally, these were things that, I mean, I just can't see. This is the kind of stuff that we'll see in the end times, right? The actual forcing. This whole, everybody attributing.
Noahide laws.
What's that?
The Noahide laws. They sound a lot like this.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be, you're going to follow the, everything like that. That was the whole part of the beast system. The wearing the mark of the Father, like, as it says, he marks all of his children on their hands and their foreheads. It's in the Shema, right? You bind it to your forehead and your hand. It's in your mind and in your actions, is the 10 Commandments. That's what the Shema talks about. Yeah. So the anti of that, what the Antichrist system will introduce is to push everything against that. So to say that the mask or something like that is like, it's the end of the world, we haven't even seen That's what I think is funny about
Yeah.
like modern day Western Christians, is they get a little bit uncomfortable and they think it's the end of the world. And we have seen this time and time and time and time again with one generation after another of Christians thinking that they live in the end times. Do you not think that the Jews who were in, the Holocaust didn't think that Hitler was the Antichrist? Or in this instance right here, I guarantee you that Antiochus, which he is a form of the Antichrist. They thought that was the end. God's got to be coming back. We really have to line. What's that?
How most people think, like, well, in my head, if this was happening now, no one would revolt. There'd be so few people revolting that you would never even know that there was a revolt. I don't think. I just don't think that we have the backbone anymore for this. Now, I know that God is probably going to raise us up, and that's what I think we're starting right now. I think that the time we're in right now, this reset type thing, he's legit. This is when he's dwindling his army down, and he's making sure that we know what time it is, and he's going to start preparing us to be the ones that are guardians of the covenant, that will rise up and will not break these laws. But and the thing is too, you would think, like, if something like this happened to where, I don't know, say there's a large number of us that we are revolting, and they literally kill the babies in front of us and hang them around their moms' necks. I don't think anybody can handle that. That is, maybe back then. What was the story before where I think it was the Testament of Abraham, where he's, Nimrod wants Abraham's father to turn him in as a baby, and he tricks him and brings in his concubine or somebody's baby. And when Nimrod gets the baby, it says he grabbed it and smashed its head against the wall. And this is like, the jihadis out there beheading people in the streets and stuff, they're used to seeing this gore. It's gross. It's very nasty stuff. I butcher my own animals when I hunt, and I still think it's disgusting to just do brutal stuff like that. Everyone would lose their freaking mind if they saw babies being hung around their mom's neck. People don't even want to watch abortion videos. They don't want to see the signs with the pictures of aborted babies on it. That's how uncomfortable they are with that stuff. It is interesting. I don't know that Revelation is going to look a whole lot like this, because when the plagues start to unfold, or when the bowls start unrolling, people are dying. Like, there is so much death. The first one kills 25% of the world. If you're not shocked and scarred mentally after that, I think you'll be prepared.
You think our society, I don't know. I think with media and stuff like that, I think we've kind of dumbed ourselves down, though, to a lot of this stuff. Look at the generations. I'm one of those that grew up on first person shooters and stuff, like video games, Yeah. And I learned a lot from just playing video games, like how to handle weapons, how to, reload weapons, all that kind of stuff. And it got me interested in it. But I think there's new generations of kids. This gets the alternate reality stuff and the 3D headsets and all that kind of stuff gets more and more. It's going to get gorier and gorier. That's just the nature of humankind. And this is going to get to the point where, this virtual reality aspect of it it's going to be no different than killing somebody. And you'll be so dumbed down to it that, but that's why I think our society, it will move faster than I expected. But I think we still have some time as this is moving forward, because there's a lot that has to change. But this whole coronavirus thing, to me, has been psychologically how to churn people, like what I was talking about in the beginning of this. It's been twisting people's mentalities to where you wouldn't normally have done something, but now you are. And that's the beginning of what needs to be done so next, it's the beginning to where it moves from, and we did actually 9/11 was the first part of this, when we saw it, when they said that, it was jihad and it was these Islamic people. There were people that were going out and pulling sheiks who are Indian who weren't even Muslim and pulling them out of their gas stations and stores and beating them in the streets. You know what I mean? Like that's the beginning. I think 9/11 was the first part, but this has now moved on a larger scale where people are moving into this whole, like, giving themselves over to evil. Remember, it says that during the end times, that people's hearts will be seeking after evil perpetually. You know, like they'll be full of evil, nonstop. Yeah. We're not there yet. I mean, we're moving in that direction, but it's things like this coronavirus, which turned fear into a virtue, is what's moved us into these positions. The way people's mentalities are going to change, and that's what they're doing. They're slowly. It's a slow burn, right? We talked about that before. It's like cooking a frog. You turn up the heat a little bit more, and a little bit more until it's boiling water, and you've got the frog, burnt. So, yeah, that's where I think we're at.
Yeah, I think we have a lot more time, guys. I do.
But that's a blessing, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want tribulation to come, bro. Most people don't really want it. They think they do because they want to be right, but you'll be right for like a second, and then you'll hate that you're right. You know what I mean? Your life will suck. I mean, I'm not saying that, that God won't hold you up and like legit, protect you as far as His will goes, because we don't know. His will might be that you die right away.
But for those that survive,
like Walden said, that'd be like the best case scenario if we're like the first round, to go down. I mean, hey, you don't get extra points. You know what I mean? We're called to be martyrs for the faith. I mean, whether it's first or last, I mean, you just have bigger shoes to fill every time you're passed over. I mean, yeah, I'm not really. I got a bunch of young kids. I'm excited to be raising up this generation, because I think legit, we all have, a lot of us have like little kids. Can you imagine? I mean, I think a lot of the men might be able to be strong, but these moms, if something were to happen to all of our kids, I think I could, I want to say disassociate, but I don't know, man. Like, that'd be real tough to disassociate when your kids are dying. You know what I mean? I mean, at that point, you'd be like, I don't really care about the mission anymore. I want to go too, So, I mean, I think a lot of people just haven't really thought it through, and they're real excited. Like, come on, it's the last days. And I'm making a film series, and I bring this up in there, and a lot of these prophets are actually bringing it up, because the thing that's happening right now is everybody, Christians included, mostly Christians, are waking up to the fact that they have been doing things wrong. It's easy for us to look at the church and say the modern church is, serving up a soft gospel, because we're out of it, or we were out of it, right? Or many of us are still out of it, whatever. But for them, they're just now getting it. They're understanding that they have not been doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's been a frog in the kettle, and they've looked and found themselves in a place they don't like, and it's being flipped, and God's saying, I'm gonna give you another chance, but you got to do this, right? They're kind of like the Laodicean church. Like, they're finding out that they're poor and naked. They thought they were comfortable and wealthy, right? But some of them are turning, and that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people are realizing we're gonna have to do things a whole lot different. We're not ready, for what's about to happen. And we saw that during the COVID thing, churches closing immediately. Like, I mean, you didn't even have to twist their arm. They were ready. Pastors, give me a vacation, but don't forget to tithe online. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't know what you're talking about. But.
No, you're right. No, I guess I don't know. I've been dealing with this for, this whole concept of end times for a long time. And I just see the things that could possibly what we see in history, what's been allowed to happen to the Jewish people. It cracks me up when I see, Christians get a little bit uncomfortable, Western Christians anyways, because, we got brothers and sisters in Africa and China and stuff that are dealing with persecution, getting snatched up in the streets and murdered and all that kind of stuff on the daily basis. They understand what it's like to be a martyr for Christ. And, I some of the best stories of warriors though stem from loss. There are stories of people who've lost their wives, their loved one, their kids, and it turned them into warriors. That may be something that we see. Maybe something that, has to be seen. I mean, we talked about this in one of our very first videos about how conflict and strife, it builds character, and our character is our destiny and that kind of stuff. And we talked about all that. And, historically, we've always seen Christianity thrive under persecution, and the Western church just have not seen persecution, and we see a little bit here and there, just a little pinprick on our finger, and everybody, is running around saying the sky is falling. You guys got to be prepped for the worst. Not, they're gonna force me to have a vaccine or, whatever. Like, yeah, that's terrible. That's just a part of it, but it's going to be way worse than that, and I hate that modern Christianity has fallen on this whole concept of rapture theology, and it's got so many Christians unprepared, and that's the scary part is, we're just carrying on until the Lord comes back. Well, Jesus himself said that a lot of things have to happen before his return. And he tells us, do not be deceived. Do not, what was the other one? It was, do not be deceived and do not fear. That, his return, there's all these things he's foretold to us. We can't be like his apostles. He told the apostles time and time again stuff like, hey, I'm going to get hung up on a tree. I'm going to do all this. And they'd be like, no, Jesus, that's not going to happen. That's how I feel like the modern church is. And because
they don't know him.
Yeah. And Jesus blasted, what was it? Was it Peter? Yeah. And he says, get behind me, Satan, after he had just told him, I have to leave you guys. Mm-hmm. And he just told him that. And they turn around. They're like, nah, Jesus, it's cool. Nothing's going to happen. And he calls him, he says, you adversary, get behind me. You Satan, get behind me. So we can't be like that. We have to be prepared for the worst and then have faith that God's going to take care of us. That's just how it is, because when the things really do come that are foretold, where you literally could be put to death for practicing your faith, we practicing your 10 commandments, right? Honor thy father and thy mother, love God with all of your, have no other God before me, all of your 10 commandments, practicing the Sabbath, all of that stuff. When that comes in, and that isn't the Noahide laws, as a Gentile, you can't practice the Sabbath on the Sabbath. Yeah. But that's something we could talk about. But, that is something that could be happening because it happened to the Maccabees. It happened many times under different rules in Jerusalem where they weren't able to practice and sacrifice to their God, or to our God, I guess I could say, but they were forced to worship other gods, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of missionaries, man. I do, because it helps me get perspective on my life. Because whenever I'm feeling like I'm persecuted, right, for whatever, like my internet, when you put it in perspective, man, some of these people, like when we're to the point where we're smuggling pieces of paper with scriptures on it into prison for our friends, and they're memorizing it real quick and then eating it. Maybe then, or when we're to the point where, we have to have a secret family meeting because dad became a Christian, and that means all of us need to become Christians, or they're going to, so that we can all die together. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even have a clue, man. We don't have a clue. And praise God, we don't have a clue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, we've been very fortunate.
Yes, that's grace. That's not, I do believe that God has favor on America. No matter what America has done, God's mercy is more, is bigger than than what we think we deserve. You know, I mean, dude, I definitely think America's going to have another shot here coming up, but I do think that there's more required of us because of that now. And you know, if America goes away, then Israel goes away. Because if America is taken off, you know, as a superpower, then everyone will be trying to kill Israel. And they're not going to make it, man. The country's the size of New Jersey. You know? It's insane, dude, when you think about it. Like, I do believe that because if anything else, man, Trump is backing the state of Israel. And you can call him a Zionist, whatever you want to call him, doesn't matter, because in the Bible it says, you know, God favors the ones that protect Israel. And he legit stuck his neck out for Israel. So if that's the only thing that's kept him from getting assassinated, I'm sure there's other things, but, you know, God's hand being on him just for that reason alone. You know, God has a bigger purpose than what we can all figure out by reading Revelations 4 times, you know, or whatever. I don't claim I understand the book. I understand prophecy. I understand, you know, in my mind what the timeline will look like. I still have this feeling inside me that I have no idea what it's going to look like in real life. I don't know if I'm going to notice. I believe that the Father will prompt me to do things as long as I'm aware and I'm listening and I'm being attentive. I mean, how many times in Revelation does it say, you know, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, let them hear what the Spirit is saying. So the Spirit's going to be talking to you all day long, especially when you're having a hard time. You're going to be listening real close, you know? So I don't think we're going to be missing that, but I don't know that we're going to have a too much of a heads up on what's going on. You know, I don't know. I'm prepared to not be prepared. You know what I mean? And when I say that, like, I don't mean don't be prepared. Like when it says, the scripture says, be ready. A lot of people think like, okay, we know that times are short, so we need to be ready. But what the heck does that mean? Right? And not what do you feel like it means? What does it mean in real life? According to the scriptures, according to Jesus, what does it mean? Because as far as I can tell, it means you're winning souls. You're like, that is your main thing. You're protecting your family and the covenant, but you're out there winning souls, sharing the gospel. It says you're doing miracles and signs and wonders, proclaiming the testimony of Jesus in the world. So I don't think it means being ready as in like, I got my outline from the book of Revelations for the last 3 years and I'm cross-referencing and we're in a study group and we got a bunch of canned goods. It looks different. It looks like you don't care about your worldly possessions because like we brought up before with the stuff from Schindler's List where they gave him the dude sold everything to save people. And then they give him a present, which they bought by collecting their gold teeth and melting them down to make this guy a ring, right? Which that's insane to think that, you know, that 1,000 people got together and said, hey, listen, let's get this guy something nice. I'm going to need you guys to rip out your gold teeth and we're going to melt them down. They're like, all right, cool.
That's crazy.
Like what? I don't even know
probably
anybody.
All they had left, you know?
I know it is. But then what did he do though? He legit looks at it and he starts crying and he's like, this is like 5 more people. Could have got 5 more people. And then they bring a car and take him out and he's like, I could have got, you know, a couple more people with this car, you know, and then he's like ashamed that he didn't do everything he could. Because, I mean, that's like, we don't even know what that's like. We have no heart compared to that. We're selfish, you know. God's got to do massive work on all of us. And thank God he's merciful and he's given us more time.
That was the one thing that Rob Skiba said one time that really hit home with me was he said when he dies and goes to heaven, he's not worried about like, you know, or his biggest fear was that he's going to stand in front of the throne room of God and God's going to show him the potential that he could have been. and all this, so instead of being the Rob Skiba that he was, then think about all the stuff that we could have done for the kingdom that we didn't do. So that's what he's afraid of, seeing all of the things that he could have possibly.
You muted yourself, bro.
I touched the bottom of this thing and it lost power, so it mutes automatically. So I don't know where it lost me at, but.
So I want to address something in the chat. Kevin, I think Kevin's disagreeing with when I said Trump backs the nation of Israel, because he's saying that in the scripture he thinks it refers to Israel as in like the people of God that keep the commands and stuff. I agree with you on that. I do believe we're all Israel, but I do think there's definitely a distinction because it's Judah and Ephraim. So it's both. And the land, they're still the older brother, right? And, we're provoking the Gentiles. The fullness of the Gentiles provokes them to jealousy. I don't think God doesn't care about his other son. You know what I mean? I think we're both right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I do understand that, what is currently in Israel is not, would not be the godly Israel that we see in the scriptures. I mean, they're known for being the homosexual capital of the world in Tel Aviv. They have the biggest gay pride parades there. A lot of stuff that's happening in the rabbinical traditions. From what I understand,
what's different about America, though? There ain't nothing different.
No. I mean,
people are like, "Oh, Israel's pagan and they're real bad." We're just as bad as them.
Oh yeah, as a nation,
Jersey.
It's. Well, the thing is, that's still, regardless. I mean, but that stuff has been happening time and time again in Israel. That's still a dedicated place.
125 year 125 in the Maccabees story. That's what that was happening there too. Right?
Yeah. There was a story, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was something about the tribe of Benjamin. I was just reading this the other day, and I cannot remember where it's at. Where when a prophet has to cut up like a girl. This would happen in like an Israel territory. She got raped by a bunch of people, and he had to cut her up and put her send her to the 12 tribes.
Oh yeah. Oh man, what is that story?
But that's crazy though.
Yeah, they don't get the message and they all come to avenge this or something.
But I mean, this stuff has been happening, all this stuff has been happening in Israel for a long time. It's nothing new under the sun, but what I do have to understand, and even with the everything in the Jewish Israel, from what I understand, you have to be a Talmudic Jew to actually get a citizenship in Israel. Now you have to proclaim, that you're a Talmudic Jew. So somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that was my understanding, is that you actually, when you sign up for a citizenship there, you have to vouch and say that you follow the Talmud. So we know that the state of Israel is not by any means honoring the Father, but everything in times, I mean, when Jesus comes back, he doesn't go hang out in New Jersey. He comes back to reclaim Jerusalem. Right. He's coming back to the promised land. So, that is centric. That whole area over there, the Levant, is centric to what happens in Revelation. So we have to keep an eye on what's going on over there. And just like Jesus said, all of these things have to happen. All of that stuff happens in Israel. And there are things that have to be done in Israel that precede all of this stuff that's going to come for the Messiah to return. There are wars and battles that happen in there. The Antichrist rises up out of there. The Antichrist goes and attacks Israel's enemies. Yep. All of this stuff has to happen if we're going to see the Messiah return.
Yep. I mean, he sets down there. He sets the New Jerusalem there.
Yeah.
And I think if we believe in the second Exodus, are you second Exodus guy?
Which Aaron? Part? What are we talking about?
The second Exodus.
I believe for the remnant.
Yeah, I mean we're going to be regathered.
Yeah, I believe the remnant will. That's the two tribes. Yeah,
we'll be being taken there at some point, right? The regathering. So yeah, I think there's significance, man, and I think of Zionism as Everything can be perverted, man.
I think everybody's thinking this wrong in the chat. Like, I don't think they understand what we're saying. You guys, this stuff has to happen. It's going to happen. Like, and there's no changing it. This is God's plan. Revelation 17:17 says that God gives the kings of the earth, turns their heart to do the plans that he wanted to turn themselves over to the beast so that God's plan can be fulfilled. That's what Revelation 17:17 says. So it doesn't matter if it's Trump or if it's Biden. What's going to be done over there is what's going to lead up. Plus, you have all the Zionists over there that their concept of bringing the Messiah back, their Mashiach, is the anti-Messiah, right? So that everything that they think that they're going to summon by building Israel, by building the temple, that's fulfilling prophecy. But they're fulfilling prophecy for the Antichrist, not for the Messiah. But the Messiah comes back after the Antichrist reveals himself. It says that he's not going to come back until the man of sin be revealed. So what we're saying, though, is that we're seeing the progression of this stuff by certain people, and it's God's plan, right? That is what the whole concept is, right? So if Trump has done stuff over there, like it was pivotal for him to make the capital in the city of David again, because that's what needs to be done for them to move forward. I mean, I'm just saying it has to happen. It's in the plan of God. It's already been laid out. God is omnipotent, knows the beginning from the end. He said all of this stuff is going to happen, and he's going to make sure that the hearts of the kings are going to do the plan that he's put forth. So that's all we're saying.
Yeah.
No, we're not. And we're not siding with the nation of Israel. What we're siding with is that there's a plan of God that's greater than what Trump does. This is stuff that he has established, that the Father has established, that's going to happen. So,
yeah. Oh man.
And the Zionists are they're gonna walk right into what they're trying to fulfill prophecy through man-made means. And
that's how they do it. I mean, God, it's just like Satan, right? Satan didn't trick. I mean, he didn't surprise God when he fell. God knew Satan would fall. He appointed him to the highest place in heaven so that he would fall. Just like he appoints kings and rulers so that they will turn themselves over to the beast to fulfill prophecy. Like, okay, I was just listening to Derek and Sharon Gilbert do the Revelation thing, and they were talking about the 4 angels chained at the bottom of the Euphrates, and they're bound at the bottom, right? So they're like, well, what are they bound for? Because it doesn't really say, but it says they're bound until their appointed time when they will do this, their job that they were made for. Right. So they're bound for whatever reason. So they probably did something bad because they're chained there. But there will be released to fulfill a purpose, which is God's purpose, because God gets the glory in the last chapter there, buddy. So everything else leads up to the victory. You know what I mean? So God's got everything planned out. All this stuff will roll through. And it's just the way he wants. Remember, God hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would get glory from it. So that his name would be magnified and they would know. You know what I mean?
I mean, everything that's going to happen over there with the rise of the Mashiach, their false Mashiach, right? That's why the Zionists, I mean, honestly, there's enough evidence there that shows that the Zionists, the true Zionists, were the ones that helped Nazi Germany sacrifice millions of their brethren, right? Because they knew that they would get sympathy on the other side and be able to build a nation state of Israel. So there's a lot that's tied into that. But
what's
they're
the
building that stuff?
What's the difference between Zionism and nationalism?
Well, the Zionism is nationalism is just caring for the state, right? Zionism is trying to bring back to bring the Messiah to fruition through their means, right? But on a political level, they're the same thing. But on a reality level, they're like saying nationalism of the United States is blocking off your borders and, caring about the United States.
Yeah. I mean, when you're caring about yourself, or, you know what I'm saying? Like the Zionists, no, we don't even need to go there because there's people that are not Jews that call themselves Jews and all that junk. We can just, it's already confusing now. So let's just cut it off. But we're at the top of the hour. And unfortunately, all right, I was going to show you, we're going to talk about this second hour, but I'm putting together a film series like the Reality Distortion Effect, except it's on prophecy. And it's awesome. I'm already telling you right now. There's so much stuff. I already have to make like 4 different videos because I got so much stuff. And we're not even through the good part of what's going on right now. I mean, there's so much going on. My point of it was I want people to know, about the spirit of prophecy. I want people to know that, what's going on. Who are these people? What are they saying? How are we supposed to interpret this? And is God behind it? And does God want us on saying the same thing that he's saying? And then I want to show you, if you're listening to the right people, this is absolutely happening. And I'll tell you a story that we talked about. I'll tell you the conclusion to a story that we talked about in the cool episode. You guys all like that episode. It's actually the #1 episode on the podcast too. America Weighed in the Balance, with the story of Ben Franklin and the ritual in Philly. So I'm going to tell you an awesome conclusion to that in the second hour. But I was going to play an extended preview of what I've got so far. And we realized that we can't play the audio unless we have it uploaded somewhere all the way through here. And we're currently streaming to all of our channels, so we can't even upload it. So I'm uploading it to a BitChute channel, and it's 91% done. So by the time we were going to play it at the hour break.
You're freezing up right now too.
I am?
Yeah. Okay, you're back.
You're frozen.
No, I have fiber internet. I'm not freezing. You're freezing.
Well, I'm not showing any different. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but.
Nope. And he's gone. Well, he should be back here in just a minute. Hopefully we get the video uploaded so that we can put it on there. I didn't have any other way. We tried to upload it so that I could play it from my end, and it did not work out. He was having issues uploading and everything. So let's see if we can get him back in here. But other than that, I guess we'll fill in time. But yeah, no, I see what you guys were saying in the chat. And yeah, we're just trying to talk about how things are going to play out. And I find it really interesting with the whole Israel, the Zionist idea, that they're trying to bring forth the Messiah by forcing a nation state and then the rebuilding of the temple and stuff like that. These are things that they are dedicated to doing because in their beliefs, they have to reestablish this stuff before their Messiah returns. And I think it's I want to slide. What do you guys want to slide in your house? I'm just reading the chat. Sorry. Somebody wants to slide. Can you see the? Oh, you can see it. Okay. I think this is what she's talking about over here. I don't know. I just bought a slide here not too long ago for my daughter. Oh man. I don't know if he's coming back in. I don't know what else to talk about. He's the one that all this filled up. I'm just trying to read the chat here. Keep up with everybody. Because I don't have anything else. I don't know where he was going to go with that. I guess I can, while we wait for him to come back, we were going to read chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the Maccabees. So I guess while he's coming back in, oh, here he goes. Are you there? Did you get back in?
I mean, I'm back in, but you're sounding like a robot, and I don't even see your picture. Am I up?
Yeah, you're up now. Yep, I can hear you good.
What the heck, dude? Well, so apparently I used all my cell phone data. already.
Wow.
Yep, and that means the upload shut off because I was using that as well. So
Aspen, if you're in Facebook, the reason why you're not seeing the chat is because the main chat is on the YouTube channel, which is at the Holy Hand Grenade on YouTube. So if you jump over to that, there should be another link. We post it up on the Facebook channel so that people know we're going live for new people coming in. It's kind of mirrored there, but the original channel is the Holy Hand Grenade on YouTube. That's where everyone chats live. So that's why you're not seeing all the other chats on there. Man, he's gone again. Yeah, the struggle is real. That's for sure. Oh, man. And is he coming back? He's coming back, I think. Let's see. I'm just getting the little loading screen. All right, well, then this is your guys' show now. What are we talking about? Elon Musk satellites. Have you guys seen that in the sky yet? Because I got to watch that the other day. I thought it was pretty interesting. That, and I saw there's a satellite tracking thing where you can see where the ISS. There's a Aspen. There's a little chat button on the YouTube link. Sometimes you actually have to go through the Holy Hand Grenade channel, click on the live video, and then it'll have the little chat option. It's kind of funky sometimes because some of the links will just send you directly to the video and doesn't have the live chat. But oh yeah, I was gonna say I saw the ISS fly over, and that was pretty interesting. And it just definitely, I mean, that thing was pretty big, and from what I understand, it's not that big in space. And you know, it was about the size of we would see like an aircraft fly over at 30,000 feet, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I definitely don't think it's up in space like they say it is. Chance says, let's talk about how we can see the sun and the moon at the same time during the day, which is impossible in a globe model. No, I agree. And the last major, I can't remember if it was a solar or lunar eclipse that we had, the moon was still up in the sky while the sun was still up, and we had an eclipse, and you could literally see them at the same time. I think it was the Umbra eclipse that we had. And they said, you know, that's when the Earth moves in front of the sun and it blocks out the moon or whatever. That's the Umbra eclipse. And the moon was still in the sky, but we had a solar eclipse. So it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, I always like that, Chance, how thermodynamics